Yeah. Any nasty transactions that you can share with us? That any stuff that you've noticed that's a problem or that has become a problem? What is it usually when you're dealing with situations? What's the number one thing that you're constantly seeing that's preventing smooth closings?
Smooth closing. It's so hard to say because every transaction is so different. There's so many different variables, so many different lenders, and all the lenders and all different parties do things differently. That each case is very much different. Whenever I get a first-time home buyer, we do an inspection and they're asking for credits. What should I ask for? How much money should I ask for a credit? What repairs should I ask? And a lot of times it's like, let's ask what's, reasonable. Because a lot of times you might get what you're asking for. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes, I'll ask for a 10,000 credit and I'll get it. Sometimes I'll ask for $500 and I won't get anything, And it all depends. It all depends on every situation. But recently it's been getting, I think, smooth. Lenders have been pretty good about getting closings out the door quickly.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen really that many issues. The issues are initial issues. The inspection report. I had a couple deals that the buyers decided not to go through with it because there were too many issues with the house, and the seller didn't want to give enough credit or didn't want to do certain repairs. That's why those deals fell apart. So those are the initial problems. But once we are past attorney review, the lender gets involved and we're doing the appraisal, all that stuff, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because it's true. It's like everything is so different. Like even the piece of real estate, right? Like
right.
Even like so if after the inspection, usually if there's something major, the buyer's going back and asking the seller to either repair or get a credit for whatever system is in disrepair or not working condition. And that decision needs to be made by professionals because it really depends on the home, your situation, the market. Like if you're going to ask for a bunch of repairs when it's a good deal or it's a good market, and you might have competition from actually even other buyers. And if it's your dream home, there's a way that you can usually get it done and come to a compromise where at least everybody walks away feeling somewhat content with the transaction.
Right.
Yeah. Very important to have a team around you.
Right. A recent transaction, the buyer did not decide to go with the house because the seller didn't want to give too much credit. But that's because he wasn't a motivated seller, because he had a tenant already lined up, right, and another offer. So he was like, you know what, I don't really need to sell it,
Yeah.
right? But the buyer really, it's a first-time home. He wants to make sure that he doesn't, he's not going to put in $20,000 just to move in because there's so many repairs to be done, right? So he wants, so there's different wants and needs from different people, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of have to meet in the middle, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not possible. So
right.
You were representing the seller?
The buyer.
Oh, the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. First time home buyer?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary. Like that's one of the things, like, so when I especially first time home buyers, I spend like 3-4 hours with them, like kind of coaching them through before we go through the process, because if they're not prepared, then they're freaking out, on certain situations.
And that's important for the attorney too, to respond very quickly when it's a first time home buyer, because you don't want to wait 2 days for the attorney to call you back. You want to and
Yeah.
That's what I try to do, respond right away.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things I do for my clients that some attorneys may not want to do. If the situation calls for it, I'll go out to the buyer or the seller's house to get some signatures. Recently, I had a client who was selling his property. He was in a rehab center because his leg was amputated. He couldn't obviously walk, and he had to be in a rehab for a couple of months. But he was selling his house. So I went out there a couple of times to get the documents signed. And he really appreciated it. I didn't charge him anything extra, but that's what I try to do for clients. Just, if the situation calls for it.
Yeah.